Welcome in, guys, to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. This is your host, JustCMTexx, and I'm back, and today we are going to look at my tier list for the support tunes. Now, the support tunes are some of the most essential tunes in the game because these tunes can be used on both offense and defenses in a lot of cases. And if you're new to RTS and you want to know which tunes to go for and which tunes to be able to level up, this is the guide here for you. So we're gonna go ahead and get started with our tune guy here. And first is Aiko. Aiko is a leader. She was one of the first event tune leaders to come into RTS. And she is she's decent. She's okay. She's okay for a starting out leader, offensive leader. There are better leaders out there, such as the beginning Negan that you get and everything like that, but you know, she does have her place. So Aiko will be she's a B tier tune. Next on this list is Andre. Now Andre is a nightmare to deal with, especially if you're a person that's just starting into RTS. If you're a veteran, there are ways for you to deal with him and be able to get around him, but I mean, he just does a lot. I mean, when you hit him, if payback triggers, he heals. He also revives teammates, and he just becomes a absolute mess to be able to deal with from time to time. And Andre is definitely a S tier tune. Now, next on his list is Barker. Barker is a defensive leader. There's just other defensive leaders that are better in the game, and he's very situational, so he can only work where he's leading green and blue tunes, and that's just not something that a beginning player could be able to get their hands on to, such as like Peacekeeper and stuff like that. You need some of the better blue tunes on defense in order for him to be as effective. So Barker is going to go into the C tier where he is now. Beta just never got off of the ground. It's a tune that you definitely don't want to even waste time putting resources and stuff like that too. So Beta is definitely not the guy that you want to put resources into. Beta is a D tier tune. The same thing with Bruce. Bruce was an event tune. His kit just didn't work out right. He just never got off to the right footing. Bruce is also a D tier tune. Next on this list is Carl. All right. We used to get a ton of him. It was so bad we had to have him removed. He's just not a good tune. He had potential, could have worked out in certain cases, but he's just not good enough to be able to survive. Doesn't have strong survivability. So Carl is definitely a D tier tune. Now, at one point, she was one of the most sought after support tunes in the game, which is Carol, because if she killed somebody on her signature move, which I mean she hits like an absolute truck, and because that she is a support tune, she has different abilities that she can be able to use to be able to help out on the offensive end, and her signature move also cleansed as well. So a lot of times when you went up against the old Zachary teams, I mean still today, she could take Zachary out and cleanse the entire offense of bleed. So Carol, even though she has not been used as much, she is still a tier tune and could be as high as S tier. She's a very, very good tune and still can be used. There's just other tunes that are out right now, and in The Walking Dead, how we do things is when new tunes come out, we like the new toys, we put the old toys away. Doesn't mean that the old toys are not good. So there we go, we have Carol there. Next on this list is Dario. Dario is a offensive leader, and what makes him a little bit special is Dario actually has something in his kit where he will take away I believe one positive effect from the offensive tune. So it's almost like a ransack-ish type of deal, and right now with such heavy defenses and things of that nature, you need to be able to steal some of those things to deal with some of those strong defenses. So Dario is a tier defensive tune and can be used as a green tune leader. He's more accessible to get now. You had to pay for him in the past, but like I said, he's more accessible to get right now. So yeah, if you get your hands on them and you are new, you don't have a very strong offensive leader, Dario can be able to help out there. Now, next on this list is Duck. Okay. Duck is one of the premier offensive toons in the game still. He depends on crit. So like if you're going up against a team that has like off-duty Rick on there, you know, you won't be able to use Dario as much. I mean, be able to use Duck as much, but he, other than that, he hits like an absolute truck. He's a nightmare to deal with. And you put him in a telltale kind of situation or a crit situation, he's gonna do even better. Duck is a S+ tier offensive toon, and there is no debate about it. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments what you think about Duck. Now we have Elodie. Elodie is a toon. She's a C tier toon, can be able to use on the defense. She just never got off to a good start. By the time she came into the game, there was other defensive options and everything like that. I could understand the idea, but she just never got off to a good start. Next on this list is Holiday Carl. Holiday Carl is a great support toon against medics, and right now we're in such a heavy medic meta, and you could actually attack a toon signature move and Carl will stun all medics on a team for 2 turns. He is definitely there to work with against those medics, and on top of that, he gives 60% attack for 2 turns to holiday heroes. So if you put him in a holiday hero team, he's gonna do absolutely great for you. Carl is a S tier support toon. Now, next on this list is Jesus. I mean, I had him in my defense at one point. You know, he just didn't work out the way that I think they intended him to. He was a decent toon at one point, and was able to be used, but they're just other disarms that you can use, and everything. So Jesus is a C tier toon. Now, Giafang works well when, you know, she's with other Typhoon characters. On top of that, if you have her behind off-duty Rick, she can work as well too. I think because she has dexterity as her passive, as her specialist skill. So with that, and then crit being reduced by off-duty Rick, pretty tough. You can put her in that combination. She is definitely a tier support toon. On top of that, she actually helps block against bleed as well for 1 turn. Juan never got off of the ground. He is a challenge run toon. He just never got off the ground, and he's a C tier toon. So next on this list is Cal. Actually is a guardian toon. He can help in certain roadmaps and everything. So yeah, you can use Cal, guardian toon, guardian shield, and he does a little bit of damage. Carl is a B tier list toon. Next on this list is Conrad. Conrad is a tier list offensive leader. He gives guardian shield, and he has bonus attack against, I think, people with bonus HP. I think it's like 150 extra, 150% attack. So he's actually a decent leader if you are new to the game and you're looking for a offensive leader and you can't get your hand on some of the premier leaders. He is definitely a good toon here. Next on this list is Lee. Lee is he revives, he does guardian shield. I'm not guardian shield, he revives, and he's a command toon. I mean, he can work well in certain situations, but Lee just never really got off of the ground. He is a fan favorite amongst the Telltale fans. So Lee is a tier toon, can be as high as S tier. Next on this list is Maggie. Now, Maggie is a tier list toon for players who are coming in the game who are new, because she gives 25% attack and she can be used as a defensive lead. If you're relatively new to the game, she's gonna help out in that area, and actually for a while she was used on many teams as well. So Maggie is one of those toons that is relatively good when you are new to the game. Next on this list is Magna. Magna is a defensive lead. She never really got off of the ground because Ezekiel came out pretty much, and people went after Ezekiel, and it was just Ezekiel's world from there on. So she kind of went into the shadows, but Magna's a defensive Toon. She just never really took off. Now, next on this list is Mateo. Mateo is a B tier list offensive Toon. Mateo kind of depends on some form of a crit for him to be able to work properly. And right now, if you're using him, you want to use him against red teams, and there's just better blue Toon options out there that could be able to work. He does have neutralize, I believe it is, and the neutralize can help with stopping rushes, but like I said, there's just better Toons out there that's gonna work. He can help stop a rush, but if you get your hands on Duck can decap using his headhunter, so that thing works out well. Now, next on this list is Mike. Mike is a S+ tier Toon. There is no doubt about it. Mike is very, very good. He can be used on defense, but more so he's been used on offenses lately. And with Mike, he has heal reduction and infection. And if you're going up against off-duty Rick teams, crit is drastically reduced. So that's not gonna work, which is to combat you just one shot and then blowing stuff up with Kenny. So you can't use that. What do you use? Infection. You got to build a nice infection team, and Mike is the pinnacle infection Toon in the game. Next we have Mirabelle. Mirabelle is a S tier Toon, and here's why. She can carry you through conquest. She can carry you through challenge run. She can also work out well if you are very new to the game. She is a guardian shield. Built her right, she hits like a truck still at the newer levels. So definitely want to look into Mirabelle. She is a S tier Toon. Next on this list is Negan 2K. Negan 2K never really got off to the right start. He was the first payback Toon. He worked well for a little bit, but he needs a lot to be going in order for him to be successful. He can be as high as S tier depending on your team setup, but standalone, he's just not the payback Toon that you would want. Andre is a better payback Toon. Andre is definitely more usable than Negan. He's a challenge run Toon, which way you can be able to get him on challenge run as well. So there you have it. Next is Nimrod. Nimrod is a tier list Toon. Okay, you could kind of set it up to where Nimrod can rush turn one. If he kills somebody, Trader can go off, and then Trader can set off Titan. This is kind of the combination of offensive meta that you that we had earlier, like in around January, February, Marchish area. But things die down. Nimrod is definitely a good support Toon as well. Off-duty Rick. Off-duty Rick is just coming into the game, and he is already a nightmare. This guy is reduced crits, certain team builds. I mean, you put Nor with him, Sebastian, some of this stuff is just ridiculous, and it's very, very hard and tedious to deal with. So Rick is a very, very good offensive leader, and he's been able, you've been able to get him relatively free to play. So that's a part of the anniversary that's going on. So Rick is definitely a Pete Anderson. Pete Anderson is a tier Toon, could be as high as S tier, and here's why. It is because he is a crit Toon, and they're needed, especially with the roadmaps that we've been doing lately. You run into these high tier walkers, and Pete Anderson can definitely help with that crit. I believe he gets plus 36 crit to his teammates, so he can definitely help out there. Next we have Peter Anderson, which is his brother. No, I'm just playing, they're the same Toon. So we have Peter Anderson. Peter Anderson just came into the game. Right now I have him as a B tier list Toon. Why? Because Peter Anderson depends on crits. Okay, and you would want to use him against off-duty Rick teams, but you can't, because off-duty Rick nullifies crit. So Duck and Pete Anderson and Kenny, those type of guys would not be very useful against off-duty Rick teams. So It's kind of like he's brought out, and you know, he is the Toon right now that is in a store that you can get the mythic market, but you know, like I said, kind of defeats the purpose at the moment, which is why I have held off on getting him. Next we have Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a S tier Toon. Okay, you can be able to get him from the war store, and he helps with all of this bonus HP. It's very important. He can be able to help with bonus HP. He does extra damage, and he is a offensive buy tool. You can't use him on the defensive end, but he is very, very good. And I use him in certain of my builds and setups when I'm facing some of these more tankier teams. So Ronaldo is a definitely S tier Toon. Rick never got off of the ground. He came out with Negan in the beginning. Negan outshined him as an offensive Toon. I see what they was trying to do with him, but he just never worked out that way. Scotsman is a C tier list offensive leader because his work is based off of Brutus. If you got him and Brutus in the team, he can be as high as A tier. You can kind of work that out, but Scotsman is just, he just never took off the way that you would intend for him to. Even though he gives, like, he stuns and things of that nature, he just pretty much there to work well with Brutus. Therefore, you know, the Scotsman is definitely a C tier list Toon. Next on this list is Sheldon. Sheldon is a S tier Toon. Burn is back with how they reworked the burn and bleed in the game. He can be used in certain setups. I use him as well. If a defensive team doesn't have burn or bleed protection, him and Ty together, nightmarish. So he is absolutely good. And next on this list is Ty, and Ty is also a S tier list leader. He does burn, he does bleed. He was one of the earlier Toons in the game, offensive Toons that really carried the meta forward for a couple of months. And you know, he died out when we had such burn and bleed counters, but he can still be very useful now with the reworking of burn and bleed. Next on this list is Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam used to be a problem. I mean, a major problem. He used to be S plus, you know, but as the game goes on, you start developing counters. There's direct counters for him, and Toons that are able to just take him out relatively easy. You know, if you put him into a decent setup, especially if you're a mid-tier, low-tier player, he can still be a nightmare and work out for you. But, you know, for those who are in the upper tier of the game of The Walking Dead, he's just not good for rotation. So next on this list is the Wanderer. The Wanderer is a S plus tier Toon. Now, you can't currently get him. He will come back around on the advanced token wheel, but the Wanderer disarms. He applies crosshairs. He gives camouflage, and he hits like an absolute truck. And on top of him giving camouflage, he also gives trauma, I believe it is. 10k trauma. So he is nuts, yo. The Wanderer is absolutely nuts. And if you get a chance to get your hand on him, he's good. And he is one of the premier, you know, likable characters in the game of The Walking Dead. So he is really good. Now, Waylon. Waylon used to be a B tier list Toon, but Waylon has now moved up to S tier. Why is Waylon important? Because right now in this current heavily defensive meta, with these 60% weapons, you need disarm. You need disarm. You just pretty much cannot play without it. You definitely need disarm. So if you get your hands on Waylon, he'll be in your team just for disarm. And when he rushes, he gives 20 AP. So he'll be able to help you, you know, give two teammates 20 AP. They'll be able to rush. He helps out very well. Waylon is a S tier Toon. Next on this list is William. William used to be very, very good. He's still good in certain scenarios, but he fell off. He used to be a S plus tier Toon, but William now lands here amongst the A tier list Toons. Why? Because Kenny just one shots him, and you know, Duck can also one shot him as well too. And how they reworked it you know, he used to be able to give burn and bleed reduction for the entire match, but that does not work out that way. Now you can be able to steal it, and there's just all other sorts of things. So William is now a tier list Toon. Now, don't get me wrong, he still can work out in certain team builds because he heals. He does give burn and bleed reduction. On top of him giving burn and bleed reduction, he also gives AP on the defensive side as well too. So if you ever face the William team and you wondering why they're rushing, and you're like, how they rushing turn 2? It's because he's giving AP out too as well. So there you have it, man. This is the support tier list, man. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. Let's try to get this video to 100 likes. This your boy JustCMTexx. Peace.